Hey everyone, welcome to Ex-Fundie Diaries. My name is Ellie, my pronouns are she, they, and this video is about songs that I wrote while growing up in Christian fundamentalism. The first song I ever wrote was in second grade, at least as far as I can remember, and I wrote it down in this notebook here. This is what I called my songbook. For anyone listening instead of watching, it has a turtle on it and a fish. And this notebook has songs ranging from second grade all the way to 8th grade. And I actually remember the melody of some of these songs. Not all of them, but some of them. So I thought that I would maybe go through the songbook and I will sing to you the ones that I remember. And then the ones that I can't remember the melody, I will just read them. And I will also explain some of the meaning behind these songs. Like, why did I write them? What was I trying to express? There are a couple songs in here that I'm going to skip because they're just a little too personal, but there's quite a few that I can share. Get ready to cringe because you're gonna hear a lot of just the brainwashing and the indoctrination that I was experiencing growing up. All right, the very first song, like I said, I wrote in second grade, and it's called Just You and Me, and it's a worship song of sorts. And I remember exactly where I was when I wrote this song. I was sitting on the front porch of the house that we were living in at the time that we called the farmhouse, and to this day we call it the farmhouse, because it was an actual farmhouse, but it was in the middle of a suburban neighborhood. And there was a church across the street, and a couple of different congregations met there, including the Seventh-day Adventist church I have talked about before. And so it was always a reminder to think about God because it was staring right at me. So I wrote this song to God while I was sitting on the porch. Okay. I'm feeling nervous to sing it, but it's okay. I got this. I totally remember the melody to this song. It's just like seared into my brain. I think I was very proud of it, and so I sang it a lot to myself, and so yeah, I remember the melody very well. It's just about the time of day that I would like to be sitting on the porch. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. 5 o'clock and counting, we sit here. I think of all the times we've had all throughout the year. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. Okay, here's the bridge. Lord God Almighty, Messiah, my Savior, my sweet Jesus. So dramatic. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. And then it's supposed to like slow down at this point. You are so precious, remaining in my heart. I loved you from the very start. Just you and me, Lord. And then like the band comes back in. Just you and me. Just you and me, Lord. Just you and me. Yeah, I would have these full arrangements in my mind. I knew exactly how I wanted it to sound. It was almost like I was composing like full songs in my little second grade brain. And I think a lot of that came from my dad being a worship pastor. Music was a huge part of our life, and every Sunday when we went to church, my dad was playing piano on the stage and he was leading worship. And when he was at home, he was often on his keyboard with his headphones, and he was, doing arrangements, and he would talk to me about the set list, and, I was pretty involved. And as I got older, not that much older actually, you know, it was probably like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I would start to sing with him in worship. And that continued on, off and on, for the remainder of my upbringing. So I was pretty aware from a very young age of worship music and how it sounded and what the formula was. I think it's fascinating that even as a little kid, my songs always had a bridge and then it would go back to the chorus. Like, that's really fascinating to me that as a 2nd grader, I knew that. And it wasn't like I was getting any music lessons. Annie and I got like a month or 2 of piano lessons when we were older, and it wasn't very effective. But yeah, other than that, I got no music lessons, so I was just sort of absorbing what was around me in that worship music sphere, I guess. So most of it was contemporary worship music, but also in many different churches that we went to, there was a mix of hymns as well, like traditional, you know, very fundamentalist hymns. So I was just very immersed in Christian music all around. Okay, the next song I have in this book I wrote in 3rd grade, and it's about my uncle. I have talked about this uncle a few times before. He is the uncle that I was always trying very hard to evangelize growing up. I was really, really worried about him. And actually, many of our extended family members were not the right kind of Christian if they were Christian. So like some of them were Catholic. That was a big no-no. I could make a whole video about the anti-Catholicism that I grew up in. And one of the ways that I rebelled when I got a bit older was having a close Catholic friend. Wow, so rebellious. And then some family members were like spiritual but not religious, you know, they would say that they would go to church out in nature, which is a beautiful concept, and I kind of relate to that now. But at the time, you know, that was also a ginormous no-no. That was like satanic and whatever, worshiping nature rather than the creator, blah, blah, blah. Then there were like a few, you know, kind of like undefined family members. But this uncle was an atheist. And I think that's why I was worried about him the most. Just in my mind, the way that I was being indoctrinated, I just saw him as like the farthest out there in the world. Like, you know, I was raised to see atheists as like these angry, hateful people who just hated God. And, you know, I don't talk about it much on my channel, but I myself am an agnostic atheist. So I actually don't believe in the existence of God either now. So that's, you know, it's a little awkward thinking back to the way that I saw this atheist uncle. But anyways, I was always trying to evangelize him. He and I would get in these debates. Actually, there was a whole list of extended family members that I would lead through the sinner's prayer. Like, I was extremely worried about their soul. I was always praying for them, and I would make them, like, if they were willing, go through the sinner's prayer with me. I would like say the sinner's prayer and make them repeat after me. I remember doing that over the phone a lot and also in person sometimes. But this particular uncle wouldn't do it. And that was another reason why I was like extra worried for him. So anyways, here's a song. This is a really embarrassing song, but I was in 3rd grade. I was also being raised in a high demand, high control religion, a cult. So I'm gonna give myself some grace. Ooh, that's a Christian word, grace. The song is called Please Consider This. I think I remember most of the melody, but maybe not all of it, so I'll do my best. The melody is actually pretty similar to the first song, but again, I was in 3rd grade, so I'm gonna cut myself some slack. We are related by birth, and you are my uncle, but I cannot call you my everlasting uncle. Sad, isn't it? That part was supposed to be spoken. Again, so dramatic. Sad, isn't it? Here's the chorus. This is how much I hope, this is how much I wish for you to come a part of my family. This is how much I hope, this is how much I wish. So please consider this. Keep in mind, he was definitely in my family. He was my uncle. He was and is my uncle. He was and is my mom's brother. So we're definitely related. He's definitely a part of my family. But I was talking about God's family, the heavenly family, which of course, unfortunately, took precedence over blood relations. Verse 2. I want to call you my friend, call you my uncle, but not only here in an everlasting life. And then I don't know what happened here, but I crossed a bunch of things out. So I'm gonna read them to you. I don't know why I didn't like that part anymore. I think maybe it was just a little too intense, so I just crossed it out, but I'm gonna read it to you anyways. I don't want you to go to die in a place called hell, but if you don't repent, you will surely go there. I love how even though this whole song is fully just like shoving the gospel down your throat, I was just like, oh, the hell part. It's just a little too in your face, so I'm gonna scratch that out. And then it says, and this actually really does make me sad, I cry every night, I pray every day for you to come to know Jesus. And then another part that I crossed out says that you would come back to me and your everlasting real Father. And then it says to do the chorus again twice. And that is really sad, the burden that I was carrying and that so many very young evangelical and fundamentalist children are carrying because of that fear that they have for their loved ones who are not saved or not saved in the right way. I was praying that he would come back to me. He was fully in my life. He was there, but I felt this disconnection from him because I was taught to keep so much distance between me and people who weren't living and believing exactly like us. And that's just such bullshit. It's so sad that children are treated that way and taught to see the world that way and to see relationships that way. Makes me really sad for my little self. And I have gotten the question before, am I close to this uncle now? And I am. He's an important part of my life, and we've had many conversations about the way that I was raised, and you know, I've apologized to him multiple times for, you know, Bible thumping him and for always trying to evangelize him, and he says that it's okay, that he understands why I was doing that, and also that I was, you know, a child. So I think because of that, I'm able to look back on this and laugh at the absurdity of it, of me constantly trying to evangelize him, especially because we're both atheists now. Oh, little Ellie had no idea what was coming in the future. Okay, so here's also in 3rd grade, the next song. I don't remember the melody, so I'll just read it to you. It almost sounds like a poem, but honestly, it could have been about the same uncle. I think it was. If not, it was just a general, you know, song from my heart to the lost out there. It's called He's Knockin' at Your Heart. It's early in the morning, you get up to brush your teeth. You hear the birds singing, ... You are half asleep. You hear a knock at the door. You get on your robe to see. You look out the window and there he is. It had a lot of S's. He's knocking at your door. You won't let him in. He's knocking at your heart. So please, let him in. You run into the back room. Get into the closet. You turn on the radio and shut out the noise. Still, his little voice cries out to you. And then I crossed this part out, but it said, but you don't hear him. Think about it. Don't you realize he's trying to save your life? That's a very shaming poem there. Oh, it's just sad because I was so young. I was like probably 8 years old at this point. I didn't even know what the fuck I was talking about. You know, like I believed it, but also I was like just parroting what my parents were teaching me and what I was surrounded by. This was the first year of homeschooling, so I think all of this pressure to evangelize was really ramping up. I mean, there was a lot of that in the Anglican school that I went to in kindergarten, first and second as well. But the homeschooling was just another level of obviously isolation and just indoctrination. So a quick content warning for this next part. I am going to talk about a sick pet and the pet being put down after some life-saving measures. And I'm also going to talk about some child abuse that I experienced. So I'll put the time code on the screen and you can skip this part if you don't want to watch it. The next song I'm going to share with you was also written in 3rd grade. And it's really sad because it was about when my guinea pig died. I was thinking about this the other day because, as I've shared recently, I am now a vet receptionist, and growing up, I wanted to be a vet. I've shared how, because of my assigned gender, having any kind of career, but especially something that was like adjacent to doctor, was highly, highly discouraged. In addition to that, though, this experience of my guinea pig dying was pretty traumatic for me as a little kid because I was actually in the room with the vet while they were trying to basically save my guinea pig. She was really sick, she wasn't drinking water or eating, and so the vet and I believe a technician was basically force feeding her water and trying to get her to drink, and she was in distress and she was, you know, it was really rough. And also, this was the same time period where I was being force-fed as a punishment. I have shared this in another video that I'll put up in the cards, but my mom would force feed me a food that I absolutely hated as a punishment when I said words that were banned, or when I rolled my eyes or was disrespectful to her in any way. And I would gag, and it was very traumatic. And so I think that the combination of being terrified for my guinea pig and being a kid and just not really understanding what was going on, and then also the fact that I was being traumatized by being force-fed myself. So seeing my guinea pig, you know, this pet that I adored, being force-fed something, even though in that case it was like a life-saving measure rather than child abuse, that was very traumatic for me. If I remember correctly, they said that they would have to do a bunch of procedures, and when my parents heard how much it was going to cost, they just chose to have the vet put my guinea pig down. So she was only with me for a year, and I loved her so much. She was the one that I first started in 4-H in the KV program. I've talked a little bit about this before. I'll put the video up in the cards. When I got the news that my guinea pig would be put down, I just burst into tears, and I remember they put her dead body in a box, like a cardboard box, and they let me hold it on the way home. So I was petting her dead body and crying on the way home from the vet. Wow, that that sounds kind of wild when I say it out loud. That was probably not sanitary. So I think that was another reason why I did not pursue becoming a vet, because of that experience as well. Anyways, that's all the backstory to this song. I don't remember the melody, but I'll just read it to you. So it's called "The Lord Protect You and Keep You." And by the way, I was taught that animals, even our beloved pets, do not go to heaven. So just add that. Her name was Squeakers, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I don't want to leave your side, but I know it's something I have to do. I know that he will hold you. I'll still miss you. The Lord protect you and keep you, hold you in his arms. The Lord protect you and keep you. Now you are rid of all your fears. You are put out of your misery. Your troubles are all gone. The Lord protect you and keep you. Oh my God, I'm almost tearing up. I really loved this little guinea pig so much. I will terribly miss you. I know you were only a little guinea pig, but I don't care. You were part of the family. By the way, terribly was spelled Terably. My spelling was terrible. Thanks, homeschooling. You were the best pet I ever had, my dear Squeakers. I will miss your squeaking and the patter of your feet, so may the Lord protect you and keep you. She was kind of the only pet I had, except for like a couple of fish that I won at the fair. Moving on to the next one, which I wrote in 5th grade, and it's called "The Trial I'm Going Through." I don't remember the melody for this one, so I'm just going to read it to you. Lord, you're powerful. I feel it every time you speak to me. Oh, I love you. You plainly know I do. But Lord, I'm going through some hard times, and I give my all to you. Why won't you answer and help me with this trial I'm going through? I surrender. I surrender. Rescue me, rescue me, rescue me. Lord, I give my all to you. Oh, I call out to you. Why won't you answer and help me with this trial I'm going through? I've had some hard times in life, but this one seems pretty severe. This is the time I need you most. This is the time I need you most. But Lord, while I'm going through these hard times, I give my all to you. Why won't you answer and help me with this trial I'm going through? I kept saying "going" instead of "going," so I wonder if it's supposed to have like a country feel to it. I don't know, I can't remember the melody. And I also can't really remember what specific trial I was singing about there. Could have been anything related to my dad. It also could have been when my mom was pregnant with my youngest sibling, Ivor. That was a trial for me because she was extremely sick and I basically had to run the household on my own. And my dad was taking a lot of work trips and he was quite absent anyways. Yeah, that was probably the trial I was singing about. Okay, so the next song I wrote in 7th grade, and it's basically an anti-college song. At this point, I was not expecting to or planning to go to college at all, even a Christian college. That was something that I wanted to do later when I got older. Anyways, this was like an anti-college song. It was written from the perspective of a Christian who went away to college and realized what a den of iniquity it was. So here we go. Dear Mom and Dad, college is terrible and the food is so bad. I flunked in math and I can never take a bath because my roommate's always hogging the shower. Everybody's mean, they're drinking beer on the party scene. and home has never sounded so good. And Mom and Dad, I would come home if I could. And then I don't remember the melody of the chorus, so I'll just read it. Before I left, you asked me what I wanted to do, and I wasn't so sure then, but now I know. And my one and only wish is to be home again, is to be home again. Okay, verse 2. Dear Mom and Dad, my science teacher got really mad when I proclaimed my faith openly in class. I got booted from the soccer team, but it's okay, my coach was really mean. And Mom, you wouldn't have liked it, the language wasn't very clean. And then the final chorus. Dear Mom and Dad, I'll be home for Christmas. Nothing will stop me on that. Please write back soon. I really miss you, and I want to know if you're doing okay without me. Very truly yours, your little girl. And then I remember actually singing that song to my parents after I had written it, and I thought that they were gonna like it and be impressed, but they actually didn't like that I wrote about college at all. Like, even though it was a song about like realizing that college was bad and that I should go home, they didn't even like that I had metaphorically gone to college in this song. So I remember being like a little embarrassed and like feeling a bit ashamed after, because I remember my mom especially was like, okay. Like, she did not respond the way I was hoping that she would. The next song I also wrote in 7th grade. I don't remember the melody, but it's called Love You So, ? A lot of my song titles ended with question marks. And this one is a love song, not between God and a human, but between two humans. This one I definitely would not have shared with my parents. So verse 1 is supposed to be a guy's voice, apparently. From the first time that I looked into your eyes, beheld your pretty face, I loved you the first time. You were the one that I had always dreamed of. We were meant for each other. I know it by our love. I remember our first kiss fondly. I remember our last goodbye. I don't know, and I don't know why you did it, but I want you to know. Chorus. I will always love you so, wherever you may go. You're with me in my heart of hearts, even though I hide it. And even when you're with another one, our love isn't done. And if you never come back someday, I'll love you anyway. Love you so. And then verse 2 was supposed to be a girl's voice responding, but I guess I never got to it. But yeah, I also wasn't allowed to kiss, so the fact that he was singing about having kissed her, that would not have gone over well at all with my mom, so definitely did not share that song with her, and probably felt really guilty about it and probably repented about it afterwards. And maybe that's why I didn't write verse 2. Maybe it was the guilt. All right, last song. I wrote this in 8th grade. I don't remember the melody, and it is called Make Me Forget. Lord, make me forget all of my sin that I've ever done, ever said. Make me forget all of my struggles to remain servant of the Most High. How far I've wandered, how far I've roamed, how far I've strayed away from my home. But I want to run back. I want to be your own. So make me forget all I've done. Probably like 50% of that was about masturbating. So those were some of the songs that I wrote as a little Fundie. I hope that those were entertaining to you. They were definitely fun for me to go back and read. I had forgotten about quite a few of them. I'm actually a little impressed with some of my songwriting. You know, there was a lot of rhyming. There was some good, song structure. And I do think it's a good look into my struggles and my mind as a little child, and I think a lot of other little children's minds who were also growing up in evangelicalism and Christian fundamentalism. It's a big, big burden to be taught that you are gonna go to hell if you don't believe in Jesus, and that maybe you're saved, but your family members and your friends who you love might not be going there. Creates a lot of religious drama. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.